through the council website. The council is a data controller under the General Data Protection Regulations and Data Protection Act of 2018. We broadcast and record council meetings to fulfil our public task obligation to enable members of the public to observe the democratic processes. Data collected during this process was retained in accordance with council public policies available through the council website. Members of council are reminded that they should follow the council's established meeting protocols, including around the use of the chat facility, and the comments made in the chat facility are visible to all participants in the meeting, which may include members of the public who have also received invites to this meeting. Thank you. Do you have any apologies, declarations, substitute declarations?
Convener, we have apologies from Councillor Brooks. So I'll move to a roll call. Can the following councillors please indicate if they're present at the meeting? Councillor Armstrong.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Curley.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Jackson.
Present in the chamber.
Councillor Wall.
Present remotely.
Councillor McCabe.
Present chamber.
Councillor McCormick.
Present remotely.
Councillor Maguire.
Present.
Councillor McVeigh.
In the chamber.
Councillor Moran.
Present chamber.
Councillor Robertson.
Present remotely.
Are there any declarations of interest? No.
Okay, thank you. We can move on to the agenda, and the first handout is number 2, support resources, revenue budget and general fund reserve budget, and we have Angela Edmondson to talk to us about. Angela?
Thank you, Chair. This is the usual update for the committee for the revenue monitor. It includes a projected committee position for 25-26 and a position, an overall general fund position. It includes a usual update on projected reserves, an update on earmarked reserves and the common goods. I would highlight that the current committee position for 25-26 is reflecting an underspend of 20,000, which is an improvement since it went to the last committee. And you can find further details at section 3.3 of the report. Also to note that section 3.4 of the report finds the latest general fund position, which is projecting an overspend of 339,000. Again, which is an improvement from the last report to committee. This in turn has shown an increase on the general free reserves position, which is now sitting at over £4 million. You can find Appendix 6 showing the projected overspend per the Directorate. Appendix 8 presents the projected free reserves position, and the committee, the updates on the earmarked reserves can be found in the appendices as well, looking at work streams, common goods. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Angela. Do you have any questions for Angela? Online?
No.
Okay. Agree report, please?
Read.
Agenda number 2 is the Policy Resources Capital Budget and Council 25-28 Capital Programme, and Mark Thompson. Mark, you want to speak to us, please?
Thank you, Convener. Yes, again, this is the normal capital update for both the PNR budget and the overall capital programme. I brought attention to 1.3, so the PNR capital programme itself is showing slippage. It's on target overall 3 years, but it's showing slippage of just over £800,000, which is a margin of 50%. I would like to reassure committee the actual capital programme within PNR is spending well. The IT area is spending well, it's on target. The committee is obviously the parent committee for the contingency for the capital programme. There's been no drawdown in that this year so far. And expect to be as drawn down, we struggled to spend for this year, so we've slipped 800,000, just over 100,000 for the contingency. But as only the contingency, the programme itself is spending well. At 1.4, we have the overall programme. Again, it's on budget and it's within the 5% over commitment, there's no problem there. And we're currently showing slippage across the whole council of 1.6 million, 6%. And that's the contingency we've just spoken about, and also some slippage within ENR, slightly offset elsewhere. There's more detail in sections 3 and appendices, and I'm happy to take any questions on that.
Thank you, Mark. Do you have any questions for Mark? Councillor McCabe?
Yeah, it's just to ask in terms of the slippage, and I know a significant part of it's down to the contingency, which isn't really a slippage, shall we say, but given there is slippage, in a couple of the committees, our officers exploring the opportunity to maybe advance other projects to sort of offset that slippage.
Yourself, configure, yeah, absolutely. The officers, particularly in the property and roadside, are this all the time to try and advance stuff. You were aware that the big projects that we've got at the moment are on sites like Community Hub, so expecting them to spend. I'm sure there'll be something that slips before the end of the year, but the big projects are on. We're not expecting huge slippage in there, and we're hoping to advance some areas as well. So we'd certainly look to keep within the 10% and hopefully bring that down slightly to the end of the year.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for Mark? Anyone online? Right, thank you for that, Mark. Agenda item number 4 is the finance service update, and Angela again. Angela?
Thank you for your convener. This is a report just to update the committee on several matters impacting on the finance service. There is only a few updates in this report. One is to give an update to the committee on the council tax reform, which is just advising the committee of the reform proposals that are in place, and also the consultation opening on the 27th of October and due to close on the 30th of January. We have an update for an annual update for the insurance fund as at 30th of September 25. You can see that there's a balance of 5.34, but that's before any outstanding charges are applied. I also wanted to remind Council that we, as part of the budget process in 24-26, they approved 500k contribution to the insurance fund for the historic child abuse, and that is included in the fund for this period. And there's also still 500,000 to come from the integrated joint board, which is up to 26-27, so that will be added to the insurance fund at that time. The triennial review was undertaken in 2025, and the decisions to end the 2 100k insurance fund holidays going forward will be updated throughout that as well. Also in the update, we have a Delivering Differently annual update, normally comes to committee in November. The CMT have reviewed it and they have completed 2 projects on it. The Attainable Challenge Funding Reduction and the CLD review. The CMT are also proposing that the review of children's services may be added to the list as a new project going forward. Happy to take any questions.
Everything okay?
Yeah, just around the council tax reform, I suppose a couple of questions, points. Firstly, I'm assuming officers are going to develop a council response to bring back to the committee for us, certainly because there's keen that all councils respond to the consultation. And secondly, paragraph 3.4 refers to the sort of consultation process and including town hall events. I was very surprised at this point, I have to say, that here at the Cosmo Convention on Friday there are only going to be 4 town hall events, and our nearest one is going to be Glasgow. I think there's one in Aberdeen, one in Inverness, and I think maybe Edinburgh is the other one. But they did mention that there's the potential opportunity for sort of stakeholder events. I don't know if that's something maybe through the Chief Executive offices of yourself that we maybe engage with Cosmo to see whether there's maybe a round table here in Inverclyde, but whoever's interested. As you can imagine, for having a town hall event in Glasgow, if there are a big hall that would be required for the population of a third of Scotland to attend, so it might be useful if we maybe ask if there is the possibility of having a more localised event here that would give people the opportunity to get involved in the consultation.
Mr. Emerson.
So you convener, as council leader will recall, COSLA did undertake to provide clarity as to what the extent of the consultation would be, and we're happy to make representations for the local consultation to take place.
Angela?
Yeah, can I just come back on the question around the response to the reform? Tracy is aware of that and is involved in that, and I'm happy to add any comments that you are intending to bring something back. Tracy, do you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you, and through you, convener. Yes, certainly. We will be looking at the consultation in great detail and providing officer views on that. In terms of a wider stakeholder engagement, there is certainly engagement with the professional body. The IRRV will be involved in that, as well as while there's the town hall events, as you've said, will be huge, or the capacity will be very limited. There are certainly, as I understand, going to be online events as well for members of the public that are not able to get to, or with the venues not having the capacity, perhaps for the level of interest, that the online events will be the opportunity to do that.
I mean, that's
Thank you.
helpful. I just think it would be, it's important that we try and encourage people in Inverclyde to get involved in this consultation, although we are told there's not going to be any changes this decade, so potentially we're certainly through this council and potentially even the next council without any fundamental changes to council tax, and certainly at the COSLA conference on Friday, the current Cabinet Secretary was making it clear that really if her party was going to take forward fundamental change to council tax, there would need to be a political consensus around that. So, as I said, I suspect we're some way off from any fundamental changes to the current structure of council tax.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important that, you know, it's such a fundamental change in the council tax system that although the cyber world's out there, but there is a lot of people who don't necessarily have that choice to go into the net and everything, and it would be better if there was more kind of local opportunities from to express their interest. You know, maybe not every town hall, but at the end of the day, there's 32 local authorities as well. You know, and I don't think it's fair again that they're going for the big guys and ignoring the smaller ones. So I don't think that's fair, but that's just my opinion. Councillor Wire.
Thank you. Yeah, just a suggestion on it. I think if we're going to look into this increase in participation from local people in this consultation, is it possible that we could consider having some of the online sessions hosted in some of the library spaces? Just trying to think of easy ways where we can allow people to come along and contribute without, you know, making it kind of siloed. It's just a suggestion, and I'm aware that today we won't be able to get answers to that, but could be obviously preferable for us to have our own town hall event, but if that's not possible, maybe that's something that we can consider or have it in the town hall.
Councillor Jones. Chief Executive.
Okay.
His Labour Party's failed to look at it.
Convener through you, Councillor Maguire will reach out to Gosling and see what that possible is for him.
Okay. Any other questions online? Nothing? Okay. Agree recommendations?
Yeah.
Agree. Okay, now 5 again is the Treasury Management Mid-Year Report, and Angela again.
Thank you, Convener. This is the 6-month review of the Treasury activities. We have a report to the Council for the PNR for scrutiny and then on to full Council for approval. Just to highlight a couple of things in the report. The debt, in the receiving of the report, the debt has reduced during the period by approximately £11 million, but our investments have increased by about £10 million. The Council has repaid debt and used cash flow to fund repayments, which has allowed it to defer borrowing in the first 6 months, in the last 6 months. Council has under borrowed by £71 million. This is projected to reduce in the following 6 months as we are likely to have a requirement to borrow. The report still shows that there remains volatility in the borrowing rates. They're not quite reduced at the rate as was projected by the Treasury advisors. The Council didn't undertake any debt restructuring during the 6 months of the report, and the main points to highlight can be found in section 2.3 of the report. Happy to take any questions.
Anybody any questions? Councillor Cully.
Thank you, and thank you for the report. I find that I'm getting there with Treasury Management, and I think the report helps. Obviously, just from this is obviously a snapshot of a particular point in time, and you're saying that obviously our borrowings went down, but we're using cash to fund that. So, without having a major debt restructuring, it may be possible that in 6 months' time we look at it again, our debt might well went back up by £10 million.
Yes. Sorry, through the computer, yes, that's right. Obviously, this is a snapshot at this point in time, it's 30th of September. You will have to make other repayments on borrowings at that time. We will have to borrow on that. We may have to borrow more than what we would pay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other member? Online. It's to recommend the committee notes conduct the mid-year report, the Treasury Management 25-26, and it's requested the committee mixed report to full council for approval. Agenda item number 6, the corporate policy performance update and its honorary.
Thank you, good afternoon. This report covers a range of matters. The first is the local government benchmarking framework 24-25, which brings together information about how all Scottish places perform in delivering services. It is published by the Improvement Service at local authority, family group and national level. New data is now available for 29 measures, and a review of November County Council's performance shows that 45% of these measures have rankings from the top 2 quartiles and paragraphs 3.6 to 3.10 highlight performance areas of note. I'd like to focus in on sickness absence in particular, as this features across several of this afternoon's reports, and I believe it will be particular interest to elected members. First, I'd like to give some additional context in sickness absence in Inverclyde. In August 25, the Council Commission reported an increase of 45% in sickness levels in councils across the country since the pandemic. And this is partly attributable to an ageing workforce, and a third of our employees are aged over 55. The challenges of sickness absence and managing absence effectively is a real focus for the CMT, and a range of actions have been taken and also some new actions proposed. For example, a range of updated policies and procedures to reflect best practice. We've improved the reporting information available to managers so they understand what the absence trends are and issues are in their teams. We've piloted hotspot work in some sections of environment regeneration, particularly high, that involve working closely with managers and employees, running surveys and meetings to better understand any gaps in their knowledge of what support is available with the procedures, and so we can better tailor support for different parts of the workforce. And in relation to education, we've recently held 2 training sessions for head teachers on absence management, and we will be replicating the hotspot focus in the education establishments that have got higher than average absence levels. And this month we have launched a new initiative, Access to Work Mental Health Support Service, which is delivered by the DWP, which provides one-to-one guidance from a qualified mental health coach for employees. I'll move on to just highlight a couple of areas in the report. It also talks about the Best Value Improvement Plan Performance Report, and Appendix 2 provides an update in relation to that. Thirdly, we have the latest NRS mid-2024 population estimates, which shows a small increase of 100.1% with a revised 2023 population estimate, and that's driven by net migration. And finally, the report covers change the policy review schedule and an update on our PD and return. Happy to take questions. Thank you.
Councillor McVeigh.
Thanks, Convener. Just a question on the process. At the audit committee, when there's an action point list, we have a revised due date put in for that. But in this report and in the next report, when there's slippage, we don't have a revised due date. I'm just wondering if that's something we can include from about the line just to maintain focus when we think about the items if they're running late. Thank
you. Yes, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Councillor. Councillor Maguire.
My questions around the simple one. A lot of information contained in this report. It's just on Appendix 1, page 51. There's 2 metrics that we don't have stats for. When are we expected to get that information? It's for school attendance rate for 100 looked after pupils and percentage of children living in COVID.
I don't have that information to hand. Unfortunately, but I support that all if that's okay.
No problem, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, I mean, the population statistics is obviously positive to see very small increase in the population. But obviously it's pretty fragile. And next time we could see it going the other direction. I mean, I think it's generally positive that our population has stabilised, but as we've discussed in the context of the population strategy, it's going to be a real challenge to sort of reverse the trend, and I think we obviously need to look at how we deploy resources and attract resources. And I'm pleased that we've had an indication from the Scottish Government's Minister for repopulation that they would be interested in meeting with us. So hopefully we'll get a date in the diary for that sooner rather than later. Maybe they'll come with some money. I was going to ask around participating in the budget, and we've got a sort of nil return this year. And I know in sort of a previous year we sort of used PB for some of the road spend, etc. So in a sense, is participating in the budget and dying a death, or are we still looking to explore opportunities in the context of the financial challenges that we face? I'm not surprised that it's not a priority, but is it something that we are looking at? And I suppose the question is, are there any consequences of presenting a nil return when obviously there is a target of 1%?
Thank you for your convener. Understand using the screen, you might want to supplement this information from a service perspective. But yes, I recognise in terms of the challenging financial environment, dedicated particular what funding for the public service is difficult, and also a wide range of other mechanisms that we use as a pencil to engage our population. There's updates and other reports around community conversation week for girls planning, for example, so there's strong mechanisms in place. I don't know if Stu wants to come in.
I'm going to say bring Q Scotland. Q.
Yourself, convener. Yeah, we've been reporting back that there's been no response back from Scottish Government on a no percentage income on that over the last couple of years. It's still on his agenda to do stuff, but again, it's very difficult at the moment to try and find out what is it we're doing on it. But we're still continuing to report back to Scottish Government, and they're quite happy with the no response that we're giving back. We've not had any feedback back from Scottish Government.
So that is this.
Okay. You happy up, Ian?
Yeah.
Okay. Councillor Culler. Okay, sorry.
Yes, thanks, convener. Picking up on the child poverty, I mean, paragraph 3.6 children's services. Now I realise that's, this is dated information, but the decrease in children living in poverty in Inverclyde is very, very much to be welcomed, and I hope that the updated figures will continue that to show that decrease, and effectively from over a quarter to near a fifth, and over the time, the period noted in, as I say, the third paragraph under 3.6. It's a very good news story, and hope that that's continuing. I have some questions about the absence, and particularly around the absence of our teachers, and I'm just wondering if there's any information about whether that is connected with, is it work related in the sense of that's what's causing it? Is it demography? We just, like the rest of our workforce, our teachers are getting older. I just wondered what's behind it, if it's work related. I know there are negotiations to reduce pupil contact time. Is that likely to have an impact? I don't know. Just if there's more information, I'd welcome that. Thank you. Thank you, Julia Convener. Yes, picking up on that, we know that mental health is the primary reason for teacher absence. We also know that we've got increasing trends in relation to violence in schools, and that obviously represents challenges to teachers and cope with that and managing that. And we also know that we've increasing demands in relation to ASN, which in turn is putting additional demands on our teaching staff. As I said before, we are looking to do more intense work with education to better understand some of the specific challenges, and of course more specific interventions that we can put in that could help with that. And we also work very closely with our trade unions in relation to that, and particularly around balance in schools. Thank you. Thanks very much.
Councillor Cully.
Yeah, thank you. I was just going to come back on with respect to the budgeting. I think I've noted the nil return as well. I'm just wondering whether or not, I think the form of participatory budgeting probably what we're doing before with respect to a little bit of top slicing possibly and identifying a bit of money for people to comment and effectively vote on what they wanted. Maybe it's very difficult to entrench within our systems, but obviously, I think as we noted in the chamber today, there's other forms of participated budgeting that we can do, but consultation events about our what do you call it, the general populace being able to what do you call it, engage with how we spend the money and what we should be spending our money on. So I'm just wondering if that's the sort of the feedback we should be really maybe giving to the Scottish Government, that we really need to be looking at how we entrench this sort of the consultation aspect, and that if people participate in over a wider piece and how we form our plans in the future. It really is the way we should participate in our budgets.
Right, Mr. Scott Hugh.
Thanks, convener. Yeah, we are looking at, I think the last time we've done any work around this, Councillor Curley, was that we looked at the roads budget and how we could support that through a consultancy of what the second part of the roads through a participating budget. So we are looking at everything at the moment, and your point is that we haven't got the money that we used to have for groups to vote on and to have a participation model. So we are looking at every way we can possibly to try and get some feedback to Scottish Government around how we're using participation process.
Yeah, I think it's just about how we do our business, isn't it? If we can get it ingrained within us, that we've got this consultation with participation. I'm going to say precipitation. Participation. Then we can. I need to get my teeth in. We need to make sure just I think there's a way of doing it, and I think probably Councillor McCabe's right. It's sort of way of previously of the idea about trialling it is definitely dead. But I think maybe it's how we just review completely our processes to try and get people more engaged in the democratic process.
Call.
Yes, thanks, conveners. Just to ask on child poverty, when we can expect more up-to-date data. The information is up to 23-24. We're soon heading into 2026. So when could we expect to see more information?
Thank you, Chair. In line with the previous question around school attendance rates, I'll get back to members of the date for both parties of child poverty as well.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone? Okay, but the reading report, the thing that stuck out to me is that it says here with with the international migration resulting Scotland's population is a record high. But Monmouth was only council in Scotland to show more births than deaths. I think that kind of really sums up where we are really. But we're probably something because of people coming here there and ourselves, so maybe that's something we keep our eye on. So any other questions here? Okay. It's recommended we note the latest updates in relation to the corporate policy and performance. Agreed?
Agreed.
So number 7, again, it's a policy resource committee, delegate improvement plans and performance. All right. Maura.
Thank you, convener. This is the first performance report on year 3 of the committee plan and covers the reporting period April to September 25. It includes an update to the action plan, KPIs and the management of key risks. And a summary of performance is provided in the covering report with a full performance report included. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions on this? No, not online, eh? Okay. The committee consider the progress made in delivery of policy resources committee delivery improvement plan 2023-26. Okay. Agenda number 8 is Everclyde Council Plan Annual Performance Report. And I think it's more now.
And the purpose of this report is to seek approval of the committee for the publication of Everclyde Council Annual Performance Report for 24-25. And the report itself is attached as Appendix 1. Prior to this meeting, there was a late member briefing, and therefore do not plan to talk through the report in much detail, but happy to answer questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody got any questions on this? Nothing online?
That's what I've got.
Oh, sorry, Councillor Maguire.
It's all right, don't worry.
Much late.
Thanks, Convener. Just want to say there's a lot of good information in this plan, and I appreciate all the time it's taken for it to be brought together. It just shows like the breadth of work that we actually do across the council, and thanks to all officers that do that on a day-by-day basis. Without them, this wouldn't have been achieved. I only have one question, and I feel like a bit of a broken record, so apologies for this. So on page 106, it is page 25 of the report itself. Indicator number 3 is the number of adult learners supported by CLD service that achieved the qualification. Raise this in education, I've raised it here, about getting that target like revisited, because we consistently missed it, because we don't have the same service provision that we used to have, we don't have the same capacity and resources. So I don't know if it's just because I asked for that partway through the year and maybe it's not came through yet, but could we have that highlighted in the future? Just I'm aware that it's better for us to have realistic targets where we're doing as much as we can for people in the pipe rather than, you know, setting a target that we're not going to be able to meet, unfortunately. So I'll say that the kindest way possible, but it's, yeah, I don't think we're going to meet the 150 based on the past 3 months.
Thank you, Convener. I can see who's put his camera on as well, so pass on to him afterwards, but certainly I can see page 108 is the target is 150 against the values. And yes, from a target setting point of view, we tend not to change them during the course of the year, and it's at the start of the year, obviously we do that, so it may be a kind of piece. I don't know who wants to add to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Scott, you want to come in here?
Yeah, for yourself, Convener, we're very aware of that because obviously the reduction we've taken across adult services. The good thing is that our increase, we have took a reduction in services, but our increased numbers are increasing with our number of learners at the present moment. So we're happy to keep that at the moment, but we will do it at the end of the time.
Thank you.
Can I ask one something?
Yeah, sure, you go.
Thank you, this will be for you. See, part of this target, does that include learners that are going through the ESOL programme as well, or is that separate?
For yourself, Convener, all accreditations is across all adults, including ESOL too. So we've obviously got an increase in ESOL learners coming into the area. So that's what's helping us to increase our numbers.
Okay, thank you, Hugh, and thank you, Chair.
Councillor Kane.
Yes, thanks, Chair. I mean, this is a very readable report and a very informative report, and I think it is good that we put a report with this together, because we obviously get loads and loads of information come from different committees and we maybe see different aspects of the council's work, but to bring it together into a report for this, I think gives an overview, and it does highlight areas where we've got challenges, and that's reflected in other reports on the agenda, but it does give you an opportunity, if you read it, just to stand back and appreciate a lot of the good work that the council and indeed our partners are doing to try and improve things in Inverclyde. So yeah, we've got our challenges and we've got our restrictions and resources, and we're always fighting for more resources to try and do more as well, but there's a lot of good stuff in here, a lot of positive stories in here, a lot of people working hard within the council and among our partners and indeed in the community as well to try and make a difference. So I think we should take time to read this report and celebrate the successes that we've had in that period.
Anyone else? Thank you for that. Note to Provost may deliver the council plan for 24-25 and approve the publication of the council plan and performance report for 2004-25. Agreed?
Agreed.
Agenda item number 9, work report, information, activity report, again, Morna.
Thank you, Convener. The purpose of this report is to present promoting the workforce information activity report on the wire for 2025, which is attached as an appendix. This aims to inform HR and locate activity workforce planning. The document includes information on employee attendance, demographics, further details on sessional workers and health and safety council. Breakdowns are provided in the report by service, and should be noted that the reference to executives includes wider themes such as legal and finance. And like the member also took place in this earlier on today, with some of the detail presented then. So I don't plan to go into much detail at the moment, but also have to wrap up as required. Thank you.
Thank you. The announcements are part of a presentation given on L today with Mona Antley. So anybody online who not made it? Any questions? No? Anyone of them? No? Okay, thank you very much for that, Mona. So it's recommended the council notes the contents of the water report 24-25. Agenda item number 10 is the annual update use of surveilling powers and the resolution of investigative powers Scotland Act 2000 RIPSA. And Lindsay, you're more qualified than when I noticed.
Thank you, Convener. So this report sets out a proposed update to the Council's RIPSA policy and proposed policy is set in Appendix 2. And the purpose of the report is to review this. The report also provides an overview of the directed surveillance powers used by the Council. Members will note that the policy will apply where directed surveillance is either planned or carried out and can only be for one or more of the permitted purposes which are set out. Directed surveillance is surveillance that is undertaken for the purposes of a specific investigation to obtain private information. The policy sets out an approval process and a list of authorising officers. Those authorising officers must be satisfied that the authorisation is necessary and proportionate. The committee will note that it was last updated in RIPS activity last year, and it's important for elected members to receive regular updates in relation to the use of these powers, given their potentially intrusive nature. Since that last report, there has been no further use of surveillance or covert human intelligence sources authorised. To ensure continued compliance with the legislation, the Council's policy is regularly updated, and the proposed updated policy is set out in Appendix 2 with a table of proposed changes in Appendix 1. Members will see that no substantive changes are proposed and have to take any questions.
Thank you, Lindsay. Any questions? Online? No? Right, okay. It's recommended the committee approves the updated regulation of investigative powers Scotland Act 2000 policy. Append this report in Appendix 2. It's recommended the committee note for an annual update, including a review of the regulation of the investigative powers Scotland Act 2000 policy will be provided in a year's time. Agreed. Thank you.
Agreed.
Agenda item number 11, and it's a revenue budget update. And Angela.
This report is to give an update to the committee of the current 26-28 revenue budget. The report includes an update on the revised budget gap. It includes an update on where the CFT have been working with the savings proposals, an update on the bulk evidence trial, and also an update on the dates for the UK government and Scottish government budget releases. You can see from Appendix 1 of the report there is a revised budget gap, and that is taken into consideration any approvals of adjustments at Appendix 2. It also gives an update on where we are if we were to close council tax or increase council tax by the agreed rate that we looked at of 5%, 6.5% and 10%, and what that means to the residual budget gap. The committee are asked to note that a review of the reserves and treasuries are currently being undertaken by the CFT as well. Happy to take any questions.
Any questions, Angela? Councillor Kim.
Yeah, not so much a question. I mean, I welcome the report. Obviously, we are making some progress in terms of the appendix, assuming members approve the savings and adjustments. And obviously, it's welcome that the budget gap has reduced it. Obviously, it still is a significant gap. Obviously, Appendix 1 has given those examples of the savings that would be required depending on the level of council tax. And I think that's informative for members. Clearly, we're waiting to see what the outcome of the UK budget is next week. We'll wait to see what the Scottish budget is in January before we can really get into sort of making the the hard decisions we're no doubt going to have to make. I did have the opportunity on Thursday at COSLA to ask directly the First Minister whether he was prepared to rule out a council tax freeze or a council tax cap, and like any politician, he dodged the question and basically says that's a matter to be considered as part of the budget. Although I have to say, in the discussions at the COSLA convention on Friday afternoon, the indications we were getting from the political spokespersons and officers of COSLA was that they are working on the assumption that there would be a council tax cap or freeze in 2026-27. So we can only hope that we've got that flexibility because there are significant gaps here that we need to be addressing, and obviously there are very painful savings that may be required to be taken as well. Difficult decisions in the months ahead, but I'm pleased with the way in which we're managing the budget process. I think we're working well through the members' budget working group. We've obviously not got into real meat of the savings yet, but hopefully, with a reasonable settlement from the Scottish Government and the flexibility around council tax, hopefully we can set a budget or a 2-year rolling budget that avoids the worst of the painful cuts that we really won't know until we get clarity into the new year. But presuming, I suppose, in terms of a question, Angela, it's probably looking like we're into March before we're going to be in a position to set a budget this year. Is that fair to say?
And through you, Convener, yes. My understanding is that the finance order will be placed in the first week in March in Scottish Government, so it'll be around by that time. It does make it difficult for us for the raising of council tax, to get billing out and get printing, etc. of the bills out. So it's going to be a very tight time, but I think, yeah, it's around about that time that we're looking at. Unless we get that approval to consider, separating the council tax increases from the budget decisions that we take. But we'll get the first setting of the budget on the 13th of January. So hopefully we get a clearer indication at that point what our citizens are looking like.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Recommendations. It recommends that the committee notes the revised budget gap detailed in section 3.3 of the report. It recommended that the committee notes the officer produced a list of potential savings and continue to develop detailed proposals for review for a member budget working group and elected members. It recommended the committee approves the budget adjustments and details in Appendix 2 of its report. It's recommended the committee notes that the CMT and a member of the work group undertaking a review of earmarked reserves and will be reported to elected members as part of the future budget update reports. The committee has to note that the CMT reviewing proposals, pressures rising within the directorates for review for a member budget group, expected that these will be contained within the allowance included in the projected budget staff. It recommended the committee notes the UK autumn budget, Scottish budget presentation dates and further details will be reported to the committee when known. It's recommended the committee notes and updates in relation to the VER trawls in section 3.7 of the report. I would agree. Thank you. Item number 12 is the visitors levy update, and Neil.
Thanks, Convener. So I'll just give a quick summary of the report. I'm happy to take questions after that. So the report is presenting an update both in Inverclyde and nationally on the rollout of the visitor levy that was created through the national provisions for such for every local authority. The paper is asking for members to note the update, but it's also asking members to remit the committee to receive a paper back before summer recess next year on an updated position on the visitor levy with further exploration of the provisions being undertaken within the meantime, specifically highlighting the 3 key issues that are behind the stance today for essentially a watching brief and a further paper back. Is one, we're unclear that the revenue intake from the establishment of visitor levy would be profitable at this stage based on lack of data that we've got. and the proposal is that officers will do a further investigation of data, including liaison with the Glasgow City Region Intelligence Hub to establish whether there is any data that we can model potential revenue streams from that that data that we can identify. Secondly, the costs for administering a visitor levy are not known. At the time of introduction of the visitor levy, those were anticipated as being borne by every authority that was establishing a visitor levy, but in the meantime there has been work done by the Improvement Service in conjunction with some of the local authorities that are advancing a visitor levy to create a national platform. It's expected that this will reduce the costs of collection, but the costs to administer through the national platform won't be known until potentially next spring. So therefore it's proposed again to wait so that revenue income and the cost to operate can both be better understood before making a further recommendation to committee. And the final component of why the watching brief is recommended before a paper brought back is that there are a range of provisions for advancing the visitor levy, and some of the councils that have gone further ahead with this have advanced through those stages. They do involve formal consultation stages, but they also involve informal pre-consultation stages. And so the proposal is that in the meantime, officers will undertake some engagement with the business base just to identify whether there's an appetite or any particular strong views on that can be reported back in the update that's recommended in this paper. That's probably all I'll cover just now, Convener, but I'm happy to take questions on any of that, obviously. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McCabe.
Yeah, thanks, Convener, and thanks to Neil for the report. I'm content with the sort of, I suppose, the direction of travel here. I think there was scepticism when the visitor levy was floated that we wouldn't necessarily be one of the beneficiaries of the visitor levy, given that we've got a relatively small overnight accommodation base, and there has been some confusion in the local press. This report is about the overnight visitor levy. It's not about the cruise ship levy, which we currently don't actually have the power to implement. So clearly there has been a sort of bit of a wait and see approach in terms of this, and it's clear that there are issues emerging for those who've even decided to progress. The visitor levy in Edinburgh is the most advanced in that, and the issue of the Parliament and its infinite wisdom deciding it should be a percentage that should be applied rather than a flat rate is starting to cause issues, and there's been some talk about the Parliament may be required to change the legislation in terms of this. I think it is important that we do work between now and the summer to, I suppose, develop our knowledge base around this. I think it is important we learn from other councils as well, and I don't think we're at the stage where we're ruling it out, and we need to do the work to do that. But I was interested to see that our near neighbours across the river in West Dunbartonshire have recently approved the implementation of a 5% visitor levy, and they are projecting potentially raising up to £1.7 million a year. I think that's before costs are applied, so I wouldn't necessarily think it would be a net amount. Now they do have Loch Lomond and their council area, so probably have got a bigger accommodation base than we've got. But certainly for some councils, we're talking about significant amounts of money being generated. I think Edinburgh is the greatest. And obviously, we were to get £1.7 million, given the report we had earlier on the agenda, it would be potentially very helpful given the financial challenges. I suspect we won't get anywhere near 1.7 million, but I do think it is important to do the work to get to a point where we can make a decision as to whether we want to go forward with this. I certainly have always been of the view that the cruise ship levy is more likely to generate more revenue for us than the visitor levy, but as I said, we do need to do the work, and I think it is important that we get a report back before the summer recess.
Yeah. Councillor Collins.
Yeah, thank you, Convener. Yeah, repeat a lot of what Councillor McCabe said there. Yeah, I think it is important we do the work. We need to get the intelligence to see how it stack up with an amplified perspective. Also, we know we won't have a significant amount of hotel accommodation, but there is obviously other temporary accommodation which might fit into the transient visitors context. So we just need to see if there's an effective business case, and of course then what we would do with any revenue that gets raised in this manner to try either to pay for services or to try and grow our local economy, especially our tourist stopper. So as I say, no decisions to be made just yet, but yeah, I'm quite content that we get the intelligence and do the work. Thank you.
Councillor Boyer.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree with my colleagues. I think it is important that we do the work to explore this, and that our capacity is probably limited when compared to other cities and towns in the country. I think it was a positive event I attended either early this year or late last year, but there's a presentation done around the programme that Portal rolled out. Portal has totally transformed its council's infrastructure by introducing a visitor levy. So I wonder if there's somebody that we could reach out to Gosling and maybe get a copy of that presentation or get some contact details, because if we can learn off of other countries that and towns that have done it very successfully, especially smaller towns, then that might be something that we might be able to at least take some good lessons learned from it. Not saying that their context is the same as us. I don't think people are coming here for the sunny weather necessarily, but if we can take the nuggets that they do have, I think we should be trying to do that.
You.
Thanks through you, convener. Yeah, I think in the interim we'll do plenty of reaching out and engaging with authorities that are further ahead than us, and with agencies like COSLA and Improvement Service to get the best intelligence to make the best considerations put forward when the paper comes back forward. So I absolutely agree with that.
Aye. Yeah, Neil, somebody with a question to you, I don't know if you would answer, but obviously Glasgow and Edinburgh are well ahead of them because they see it as a way to raise funds. But going forward, what would happen if these hotels in Glasgow were full of asylum seekers now? Do they need to pay extra money if that was adopted for the whole of Scotland?
Through you, convener, I'm not sure on what the stance is in terms of occupancy of hotels for asylum seekers. Again, that's something that we can find out. One of the things that the Glasgow and Edinburgh city regions have contributed to the national platform with Improvement Service, so they will be, good sources of engagement for finding out issues such as those and any others.
See on the logistics of things, Neil, we have two caravan parks within our Inverclyde. So going forward, would they people have to inform you if we're visiting, and they would be liable to, if we agreed to the levy where if you owned a caravan there, you in your local you wouldn't? That's something we need to find out.
Yeah, bed stock that includes caravan sites would be eligible. The collection methodology, as I say, is run through the national platform, so there'd be there'd be engagement with the Improvement Service and information to come on how that's actually going to operate to understand how the mechanics of that. But the bed stock, including caravan sites, would be included in the visitor levy.
Yeah, I was reading there that the Highland Council were in a bit of a debate about this, they charge the cruise ship kind of Invergordon, but they're not really wanting to charge the people who are staying in the bed and breakfast, whatever, So I think there's a lot of questions that need to be answered before we come to any conclusion. So anyway, the recommendation is notes update provided in the report agrees that offers monitor the role of the visitors levy nationally. Agrees that officers should report to the committee before summer recess of 2026 on the merits of the visitors levy scheme. Informed by national law of the levy progress development of a national online collection platform. Data gathered on a number of eligible accommodation providers in Inverclyde and take into account the views of the local business space. Agree with that? Thank you. So agenda item number 13 is the update of the digital modernisation programme, delivery of interim digital customer service strategy and service performance. And Lindsay.
Thank you, convener. This report provides updates on the progress of the digital modernisation programme as well as progress against phase 1 of the interim digital and customer services strategy, and also the activity and performance of the Council's ICT and customer services teams. Details are provided in respect of several projects currently underway as approved by the Digital Modernisation and Transformation Project Board, together with current spending and remaining balances. Further updates are provided in respect of progress against phase 1 of the interim digital and customer services strategy, and this includes an update in respect of the 6 key actions and includes the digital maturity assessment and review of the Digital Modernisation Project Board remits and refreshed terms of reference. The paper further provides an update on the performance of the Council's ICT and customer services teams. Happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Collar?
Yeah, thank you for the paper. Just looking at obviously the digital modernisation programme, obviously, the AI comes to sort of like the Russian and these sort of things comes to the top of it. Yeah, remind me when you're looking at how you can modernise our digital offer, especially when it comes to services and customer experience. I think recently the Council won an award for their Millie with AI bot type terminology. I'm just wondering, is there officers are looking at something similar possibly for Inverclyde, if that is gives another opportunity for people to engage with the council at all times of day.
Thank you. Yes, so there is a proposal at the moment for the council to adopt something quite similar to Millie, different in a number of ways, but quite similar in terms of its approach. That is going to the Digital Modernisation Project Board. There's a proposal going to the next meeting, and that will set out a recommendation for a trial period, so probably for 2 years, to try to assess the impact of it. To assess whether it would result in a reduction in terms of staff hours required, and also whether it would either maintain or improve the customer experience. I think what we're hearing is there's mixed reviews in relation to AI bots, but you've probably seen that quite a lot of organisations use them now, so I think it's important for us to try to see how it works for our organisation. Certainly hearing that it improves in terms of availability. People can get answers to questions at any time of the day. 24 hours, they don't have to wait and speak to someone available to speak to them. It's an immediate response. We've trialled it informally, we've been given access to a beta site to use it, and reports back have been very positive, and that the answers that are given seem to be quite accurate, seem to be quite comprehensive, and certainly cut down on time searching on our website. The hope would be that ultimately that would cut down on the number of calls that would be received by the customer services centre. So we'll be able to update once we get that on board, and we've started to trial it. But as I say, I think it'll be a long-term trial to see it actually in real terms doesn't make a difference, and the people like it.
Thank you very much. I think that's a comprehensive response. I think I'm a time in Inverclyde Homes, it's always a case of just trying to get things that are suitable for all people to access the customer services. So by doing this and by going for this, we don't necessarily take nice the fact that a lot of people will not be able to access it. So it's still getting people to access the services that suit their ways of access. But yes, it's certainly a good opportunity, and I'm interested to see that we're exploring that. Thank you.
Thanks, Convener. I've gone through the digital modernisation EMR budget. It's a £4 million commitment to the council to make this happen, and I know that the report said we're going to get regular updates to the committee, and bear in mind we've only got a year and a half to go at this council. Just wondering how regular the reports are going to be.
Okay, so at the moment the reports are every second cycle, so every second PNR cycle there's an update in terms of progress and also in terms of budget. But you'll see the budget has obviously recently increased because we've taken appointments in, and also the budget for the wider transformation, the digital part of it. The reporting was every second cycle, and it's intended that it would be the same reporting cycle for the wider budget.
And this item will be included in that?
It will, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Convener.
Any other questions on this? Recommendations, notes and update the work on the Digital Modernisation and Transformation Project Board. Notes the progress made in respect of phase 1 of the interim digital and customer service strategy. Notes an update of activity and performance of the council's ICT and customer services team. Agreed?
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agenda item number 14, and it's a digital maturity assessment, and again, Lindsay.
Thank you, Convener. This report provides an update on the digital maturity assessment that was carried out by the Digital Office following the council rejoining earlier this year. This was driven by an action within the interim digital and customer services strategy, which was referred to in the previous paper. The Digital Office worked with officers and elected members over a number of months to assess the council's digital readiness. This included the use of workshops and surveys and other assessment tools. The outcome was that 124 responses were received, which was slightly lower than average, and the council scored 2.54 out of 5 overall, again slightly lower than average. This finding has confirmed officers' understanding that the council is close to other similarly sized and resourced councils in respect of digital maturity. Some key challenges were highlighted, and these are noted in the paper, and these relate largely to data and technology, AI, customer services, digital skills, workforce competency, and capacity for change. The council will now work closely with the Digital Office to develop areas of weakness and to build on key strengths that have been identified, and the outputs will be used to shape phase 2 of the digital and customer services strategy. The findings suggest improvements in a small number of targeted areas could have a significant overall impact. Happy to take any questions.
Councillor Cape.
Yeah, I mean, I think it is a generally positive report. I think we obviously recognise the challenge that we have got as a small authority, then we can invest in IT when we're trying to invest in other core services as well. But I think it is generally positive. And I'm happy with the fact that there are some areas that we invest a bit of resource in, we can significantly improve, and we've got the team to do that, so I'm confident that we will improve. Just to ask the question, how often are these assessments likely to sort of be carried out, so we can, I suppose, monitor how we're progressing in terms of the assessment?
Thank you. So my understanding is we're now in a cycle of reviews, and there will be another one carried out next year. So once these measures are implemented, to see actually the impact that that's made and whether there's any further improvements.
So we'll get a similar report next year?
Yeah.
Around this time?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Another question, anyone online? No. The committee is asked to note the output of the position described in the digital maturity assessment. Agreed?
Agreed.
Item 15, acceptable use of information system policy. Again, Lindsay.
Thank you, Convener. This report seeks approval of an updated policy on acceptable use of information systems following the last review, which was carried out in November 2022. The policy provides a framework for using ICT in order to keep the council's information systems safe and operational, and also that their availability, integrity and confidentiality can be assured. Further, it seeks to help to mitigate the increased and emerging risks relating to cyber security. Many of the changes made are minor in nature, with the most substantive changes relating to the scope of the policy and a new section to deal with the use of AI and cloud-based services. The draft policy is set in Appendix 2, with a table summarising the changes set out in Appendix 1. Members' attention is drawn to the last bullet point on page 255, which should note that the moment notes that employees must not use personal laptops, personal mobile phones, personal email addresses, Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp groups to send personal information. Of course, that cannot be correct. This should refer not to personal information, but to council and or HSCP information. Happy to take any questions.
Anyone? Councillor Colley.
Thank you, Robert. Just with respect to the making sure I get the right paper here. With respect to the policy that's included in the back, the set use of information specific policy, it's got a section here, 3.6, use of social media. And I'm just wondering how that sort of section will ties into the appendix 1, the committed delivery and improvement plan, action plan, where it talks about the review and update the media and social media protocol. And it says a wee bit of slippage there. So I'm just wondering how these two things will sort of tie together. Because obviously this sort of touches upon the same subject as well.
So thank you. So this is higher level, the protocol will go into more detail, but they will both they'll work together with Warner to make sure that that's the case. There shouldn't be any areas where there's any ambiguity between the two. This is the kind of higher level, this is the policy, and the details of what actually employees and elected members are expected to do will be in the protocol.
Right, thank you.
Anyone else been on that? No. It's recommended that council committee approves the updated accept use of information system policy appended in the report appendix 2. Agreed.
Agreed.
Item number 16 is the pension retirement policy, voluntary service and matching displacement policy updates. Warner.
Thank you, Convener. Yes, the purpose of this report is to seek approval of the two policies you just mentioned, which update the previous versions. The amendments reflect legislative, operational improvements and provide enhanced clarity for employees and managers. Appendix 1 provides a table with summarised changes with the two updated policies in Appendix 2 and 3. Happy to take questions.
Thank you. Councillor McKay.
Yeah, just to confirm that the revised policies have been discussed with the trade unions and that they are content with them.
Yes, thank you. Convener, yes, and confirm trade unions are involved and support the changes.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Online? No. Committee, the revised pension time policy, the revised voluntary service and matching displacement policy agreed.
Agreed.
17 is an update on interim community council elections, and we have Lindsay again.
Thank you, Convener. This report updates the committee on the results of the recent interim community council elections, which concluded on the 10th of October. This included elections in respect of Greenock Central, Oak Farm and Cowden Knowes and Greenock East. The results are as follows. Greenock Central Community Council has, for the first time in a number of years, been established, having received 8 valid nominations. Greenock East Community Council had 7 vacancies at the closing date for nominations and received 7 valid nominations, initially filling all of them. However, officers have had confirmation that one of the newly elected community councillors has now decided that they're not able to proceed, so that brings the total membership to 10. Only 1 nomination was received for the whole Farm and Cowden Knowes Community Council area, meaning that as the minimum number of 5 was not achieved, a community council for this area has not been established. As a result of this, 97% of the population of Inverclyde now lives in an area with an established community council, which is a positive outcome following efforts by officers. Officers will continue to engage with and support the whole Farm and Cowden Knowes community in exploring opportunities to establish a community council. Happy to take any questions.
4, we take questions for champion, community council champion, Councillor Cassidy. I want to say something. Paul?
Yeah, thank you, Convener, for the this report. I've just got some comments that I'd like to make. Over the last few years, we've made significant progress in strengthening community councils across Inverclyde. Following review and the adoption of the new scheme in 2023, we saw real progress in the 2024 elections, retaining our 7 existing community councils at that time and increasing it to 9. This year, through the interim elections, we've gone even further. I'm delighted that Greenock Central Community Council has been re-established for the first time in many years, and Greenock East has successfully recruited some new members. These are positive outcomes that reflect the dedication of officers and the willingness of local people to step forward and serve their communities. As a result, as the report highlights, 97% of Inverclyde's population now live in an area with an established community council, and that's up from 54% in 2025, a remarkable improvement and a testament to the collaborative and cooperative approach between officers, council and a range of other partners, including the Inverclyde Community Council Association and local residents. We now have 10 community councils in Inverclyde, and with a rough calculation, 56% of our community councillors are women, which is a remarkable achievement as well. And we've seen a number of new Scots come forward to join our community councils too. I've tried to do some benchmarking against other local authorities across Scotland, and from what I've seen so far, it looks like Inverclyde's bucking the trend. We're among one of the very lowest council areas in Scotland now in terms of areas without a community council, and that's a huge achievement and a result of the team approach we've taken since the 2023 review. And I'm pleased to say that our work's gained some national recognition. The process for the Community Council Review and the outcome successful elections in 2023 and 2024 this features a case study in the Cooperative Councils Innovation Network 2025 case study pack and highlights the cooperative approach we've taken with our community councils. I've always said this before, but too often we don't highlight the excellent work we do here in Inverclyde, and I'm glad that our officers and partners who have driven this success are receiving the recognition they deserve. Of course, it's disappointing that we have not been able to establish a community council in the whole Farm Cowdenhouse area, and that's despite extensive work from officers on this. And I know we came incredibly close this time, closer than we've ever been before. And I really want to thank officers for the incredible effort they put into this. And I welcome, as the report states, the strengthened relationship with local resident association in that area, as the report highlights the scheme for community council provides a clear route for establishing a community council should interest grow in that area of Inverclyde again. Looking ahead, I believe it's right, that our officers' time now is best placed in supporting our 10 established community councils and the Community Council Association to thrive in Inverclyde. And our inclusive community council team will provide the tailored assistance that they have been to our community councils, and I know it's greatly appreciated by them. And let's remember why this all matters. Community councils make a real difference across Inverclyde. They've supported or run local events, like a recent collaboration we've seen between our two Port Glasgow community councils, working on community safety initiatives, influencing planning decisions, championing environmental improvements, and providing a platform for residents to shape the future of their neighbourhoods. These are all tangible benefits that strengthen and improve the quality of life here in Inverclyde. Community councils are the most local tier of statutory representation in Scotland. They bridge the gap between council and the people they serve, and they're central to the Community Empowerment Act and align with the Inverclyde Partnership Plan, which places community empowerment at the heart of our strategic priorities. So by empowering community councils, we empower Inverclyde. Finally, I want to make two direct appeals. First to colleagues, please attend the community councils in your areas. Your presence at them matters. It strengthens the link between local voices and decision making, and it shows the commitment that it shows to our communities the commitment that we value from them. Second, to the people of Inverclyde, engage with your community councils, attend meetings, share your views, and help shape the future of your neighbourhood. These community councils exist to give you a voice by stepping forward and ensuring that Inverclyde continues to thrive as a place where communities are empowered, connected, and heard. And thank you, Convener.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Maguire.
I've got one comment, and then I've got just and a thought point. I don't know the best way to say that. So my thought point is just around, I think it'd be good if we could do something, what's kind of raised before, around widening the participation through having online options. I think having hybrid meetings, and I know that community councils will need support with that. That's something for us to take offline and look at later, I think. But in regards to this report itself, I think it is so important that we do recognise the progress that's been made since 2015. To see that number go from 6 up to 10, I think is just amazing. It is disappointing that the whole Farm Cowdenhouse and the area surrounding that, it doesn't have a community council at the moment, but I know that officers, colleagues in this room and across council alongside other community councils did help support the people in that area to make the decision of whether or not to come forward to the community council. There's a lot of good work that the Residents Association does do in the area. It would be great to have that complemented by having a community council set up. So I'll make the plea that I made earlier this year that if there is anybody in the Cowdenhouse and the whole farm area that would be interested, please engage with the ward councillors. Please reach out to your local CLD worker or the council, because it would be really great to to see yourselves being able to advocate and be the voice of the people of that area. And then finally, I'm going to do a bit of a shameless plug, which I don't do very often, but if you are wanting to, you know, be coming along to that Residents Association, it's the first Monday of the month at 7 p.m. in the Mount Kirk Church Hall. If anybody's welcome who lives in that area, and building that participation for that 3% that won't be represented by a community council, I think as well is vital. Thanks, Chair.
Okay. Councillor McVeigh.
Thanks, Convener. I think there's a lot of good work being done by a lot of people to get this result. We're sitting at 97% of areas population covered by community council, but I think we'd probably be remiss to not to mention that Councillor Cask himself and the part he's played, because I know he visits the community council across the area quite regularly, and he's been one of the drivers behind the formation of the Inverclyde Association of Community Council, which I think is going to be a strong voice for people in this area, and a strong voice for Inverclyde as and when required when there's national issues to be dealt with, similarly to the fire service we've seen before. So I think he's done a good job, and I think he deserves credit for that.
Yeah. Thank you. No, well, I think it's as a testament to the officers and Councillor Cassidy that 97% that Inverclyde population now covered with community council, and the one that's still to be formatted, I'm sure there'll be a report back in the will be formatted, because we get genuine publicity out of this, you know, people may come forward now, so well done to everyone concerned, and it's recommendation the committee notes the outcome of interim community council elections and propose action officers all set out in the body of the report. Agree. 18 is the use of power delegate to chief executive to award intensive family support service to Abbey Lower Children's Trust. See members. Okay, and I think Craig Given.
I'm happy to come in when it's here as well, but this is the paper, the HSCP Children's Service Award awarded the contract of the intensive family support service to Abbey Lower Childcare on the 13th of October 2025. The mobilisation and implementation planning has commenced with a new go-live date for the service for the 8th of December 2025. This was done via the use of the Council's emergency powers. It's recommended that the committee notes the use of the emergency powers to award this contract to Abbey Lower 2 years at an annual cost of $360,000 with the option to extend for another 2 12-month periods to a total value of £1.44 million. Happy, obviously, I think it's for voting for the committee, but myself and Margaret are here and happy to answer any questions.
Yes, fair enough. Margaret, you want to add anything to the Craig said?
No, thank you, Convener, and apologies I couldn't get myself off mute, and Craig has very kindly stepped in and stole my thunder there, which is much appreciated, but absolutely happy to take any questions. The bit I would point out is 3.5 details the robust process of authorisation after Chief Exec approval initially, but again, happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody, any questions? Councillor McCabe?
Not so much a question on it, because it's obviously under the game, but others, but I think it's obviously part of our new approach to children's services and supporting families, and obviously it will be useful through the various channels in the next couple of years to see the difference, hopefully, that this service will make for families and children in the area. So very much wish everybody involved well in addressing these particular challenges we have.
Any other questions? No. Recommendations. The committee notes the use of emergency powers to award intensive family support services contract to Abbey Lower Childcare Trust for 2 years on an annual cost of $360,000, with an option to extend another 2 12-month periods to a total value of $1,444,000. Who would agree? Agree. Right.